guys, it's Laura. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. Today I have for you a book unhaul for a change. Actually, the next video you're going to be seeing from me is my September anticipated releases. There are a lot of new books coming out in September that I'm really interested in, quite a few that I want to buy. So basically I'm just making room on my shelves because my shelves are pretty full. So I have two stacks here. The first stack is ARCs that I've had on my shelf for a while. Some I've read, some I haven't. And then the second stack is all finished copies. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I used to be a bookseller. I was a manager at a Books A Million back in Florida, where I'm from, and I did that for 10 years, which is why I have a lot of ARCs in case you were ever wondering. Let's go ahead and get started. I have quite a few books here to show you. Okay, so the first one is Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. I read this quite recently. I read it in July, I believe, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. However, this has a central mystery plot, and now knowing the ending, I don't really think it's anything I'd ever go back and read. But I did really enjoy it. I just don't see myself ever rereading it. The same is true for the next one, which is The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin Hilary Sains. I read this in July as well. Really loved it, gave it 4 stars, but really thinking about this, it's not a book that I would probably reread. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this one as well. Okay, now we have an ARC that I have not read yet. It is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. I couldn't even tell you what this is about. I believe it's a contemporary, possibly a hard-hitting contemporary. I picked this up at work after someone said that it was really, really good, and I've had it on my shelf for all these years, and I haven't read it yet, so it's time to let it go. Next book I have is Everlist by Sarah Holland. I read this book and I think I really enjoyed it at the time I read it. It's a very interesting concept. This takes place in a world where time is currency and people bleed time from themselves and convert it to coin. So basically we have a system where the poor, oppressed people don't live very long lives and the rich people can essentially live forever. Thought it was a really cool concept, enjoyed it while I read it. However, I have absolutely no interest in continuing on in this series. I know there's a second book. I don't know if this is a duology or a trilogy, but there's a second book called Evermore, and I'm not really interested in it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of this. Next book is The Queen's Rising, and this is by Rebecca Ross. So I actually tried reading this recently. I started the audiobook and I got maybe 70 pages in, 70, 100 pages in, and I just didn't have much interest in it at all. It's so weird for me because I don't DNF books at all. But at the time I was physically reading a fantasy while listening to a fantasy, and I just can't focus on 2 fantasies at one time. And so I set this one aside because the other one held my interest more. And I find that I'm just really not interested in going back to this. So next we have Warcross by Marie Lu. I distinctly remember the reading experience of this book. I don't remember too much about the plot or anything besides the main character has rainbow hair, but I remember I was reading this during a time when a hurricane was coming back in Florida and like the power went out and I had to read with a flashlight. So like I remember vividly the reading experience, just not the book. And I picked up, what's the next book? Wildcard, I believe. The second book to this, and then I started listening to it on audiobook and I just realized that I didn't care. So I kind of gave up on this series, unfortunately. I kind of have a problem with Marie Lu's writing. It's just not enjoyable for me for whatever reason. I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, so I'm just gonna get rid of this one as well. And then we have Social Creature by Tara Isabella Burton. This is an adult thriller that I had interest in at the time, but I just don't anymore. I haven't picked it up since I received it. This came out in June of last year, I believe. And I really haven't heard anyone talking about it. And it's just, I'm very picky with my thrillers. and I'm not interested in this one anymore, so that's going as well. Then we have The Bird and the Blade, and this is by Megan Bannon. I haven't heard the greatest reviews on this book. I know it's a retelling of some kind of fairy tale story play. I think it is. I think it's a retelling of a play. I'm not sure, but after looking at the synopsis again, I don't feel I have much of an interest in it, so I'm just gonna let this one go. Then we have The Woman in the Window. There it is, The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. You may have heard the big scandal controversy about A.J. Finn, how he basically lied throughout his whole career. That really doesn't bother me. I tend to be able to separate art from artist quite well, so I would still read this. I did give it a try. I started listening to the audiobook and I was bored out of my mind. I really didn't get far in, but I just don't think it's a thriller that's for me, so getting rid of this one as well. Next we have Grim Lovelies by Megan Shepherd. I read this in July as well, actually for the reading rush, and it was just average. Gave it 3 stars. Not anticipating rereading it. It was a pretty interesting concept. It follows beasties who are animals that have been spelled into human form, and I don't know. I don't see myself rereading it. I wasn't really that into it to begin with, so this is gonna go. Okay, those are all the arcs, and now we're gonna get to the finished copies. So I have here The Thousandth Floor. This is by Catherine McGee. This is one that's been on my shelf for a while. I've heard interesting things. I hear people compare this to Gossip Girl a lot, which I really liked as a show. Don't know how much I would like it in book form, but it is a futuristic novel. It takes place on this 1,000-floor building, and basically it's set up that, you know, the richer you are, the higher you live in this tower. I don't know. It's just not appealing to me anymore, unfortunately, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this one away. Yeah. Then we have Written in the Stars by Aisha Saeed. It was a very interesting, well-written, and important book. Once her parents discover that she has a boyfriend that they don't approve of, they take her to Pakistan under the guise of her getting to know her family in Pakistan better, and all the while they have set up an arranged marriage for her, and it's about her trying to escape that. I thought it was really well done. I gave it 4 stars. I don't ever see myself rereading it, however. Then we have Snow Like Ashes. This is by Sarah Rosh. I really haven't heard anyone talking about this book. I got it quite a while ago, and this was a case of me needing free shipping in one of my book outlet orders. So I added this one on because I looked at the synopsis. I'm like, yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. And I put it in my cart so that I could get free shipping. And then never read it. And don't think that I ever will pick it up. I'm not really drawn to it, so I'm just going to finally get rid of it. Now we have Sweet Temptation by Wendy Higgins. Wendy Higgins is an author I do enjoy, and I read this whole series. It's a trilogy, I believe. I don't even remember what number book this is. I don't know if this is the first book, second book, third book. I do not remember. It's been quite a while since I've read these, but I did really enjoy them while reading them. They're about like Nephilim and angels and demons, and your typical YA paranormal series that I enjoyed while I read it, but don't see myself ever revisiting, and I only have the 1 book in the series anyway, so I'm just gonna finally get this off my shelf. Next we have Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. I have not read anything by Margaret Atwood. I haven't read The Handmaid's Tale, which I do still want to read, and I was interested in this at the time that I picked it up. However, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but the font in here is so tiny, okay? Guys, I have really bad eyes. I wear contacts, and I can't do it. I cannot do it. If I want to read this book, I will listen to it on audiobook or try to find a better copy from my library or something, but I just cannot read this book. And to be honest, I'm not all that drawn to it, but if I ever feel the dire need to read this, I'll try to find an audiobook version. I just cannot read that tiny font. I can't do it. Okay, next we have Seeker. This is by Arwen Ellis Dayton. I don't really know what this is about. I think this was another case of me adding a book to my cart to get free shipping and not really knowing what it's about. Yeah, even reading the synopsis just now, I still don't know what it's about. So I haven't picked this up. I don't see myself picking it up anytime soon, so it's going to go. Then we have The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid, sorry, S.J. Kincaid. I don't remember what this is about. At the time that I bought it, I thought it was very interesting. It was really cheap. It was a bargain book, and I must have enjoyed the synopsis when I picked it up. But to be honest, I don't even have the desire to read the synopsis for this, unfortunately. It's just a book that's been on my shelf quite a while. And if I haven't been drawn to it in all these years, then I'm not going to pick it up anytime soon. So it's just going to go. Next, we have 172 Hours on the Moon by Johan Harstad. I read this recently. Was it in July? I think it was in July. And I gave it a 3-star. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's a YA thriller that takes place on the moon. We have 3 teenagers that get sent to the moon to research and learn more about space, whatnot, and terrible things start happening on the moon. It was pretty enjoyable for what it was. I didn't think it was very well written. I felt at times that it was a little juvenile, but it was still a 3 stars. I still enjoyed it. But knowing the ending, this is another one that a lot of thrillers, I don't see myself ever rereading, because I mean, once you know all the plot twists, there's really no need to go back and revisit it, right? So this is one that's going as well. And then the last 4 books here I have are actually these editions of Agatha Christie books by Bantam. They're these, I don't know, like collectible editions. These are really old editions, and I picked these up at work. They're used, they were a really good price, but I've since decided that I really want all of the Agatha Christie books in the nice new paperback, so I'm gonna start collecting them from book 1 in paperback, because I just think they're so much prettier, and I don't really like the look of these. And I had a whole stack of these, a huge stack, and there may have been an incident with some coffee spilling and lots of them getting damaged, unfortunately. So like the rest of them I had to just toss because they were damaged. So these are the 4 that survived, and then I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna rebuy all my Agatha Christie books in the paperback versions that I really enjoy the covers of. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of these. We have the 7 Dials Mystery. We have The Pale Horse. We have Double Sin and Other Stories. And we have The Regatta Mystery and Other Stories, all by Agatha Christie. I adore Agatha Christie, by the way, and I'm really excited to start collecting her books in editions that I really love. So those are all the books that I'm going to be unhauling. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I'm unhauling that you think I should keep and give a try. I'd be interested to know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them. And that's going to be it for my video today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Do give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos from me, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!